President Donald Trump has made yet another headline-grabbing promise: a $2,000 tariff dividend for every American, claiming it will be funded by the trillions of dollars his administration says it has collected through tariffs on foreign goods. But economists and policy experts warn that the numbers don't add up. The legality is murky, and the plan could cost more than it brings in. Welcome to Shadow Report, where we dive deep into political promises and uncover the truth behind the headlines. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss our next in-depth breakdown of global political and economic stories that actually affect you. Trump's new economic pledge. During a recent post on Truth Social, President Trump claimed that Americans would soon receive a dividend of at least $2,000 per person, thanks to his tariff policies. He said, quote, "People that are against tariffs are fools. We're taking in trillions of dollars and will soon begin paying down our enormous debt. $37 trillion. A dividend of at least $2,000 a person will be paid to everyone." The president framed the dividend as a reward for American workers, arguing that his tariffs have revived domestic manufacturing, created jobs, and generated massive new streams of revenue. However, many experts quickly pointed out that Trump's claim of trillions in tariff revenue doesn't hold up against federal data. According to the Treasury Department, total tariff revenue collected this year was about $309 billion, a significant increase from last year's $165 billion, but nowhere near the trillion-dollar figure the president cited. What exactly is Trump proposing? So what is this tariff dividend? Trump's proposal, still vague and without any official documentation, would give $2,000 payments to low and middle-income Americans while excluding high earners. He has not specified what income level would qualify or whether dependents and children would receive payments. In a follow-up post, Trump wrote, "Low and middle-income USA citizens will receive their $2,000 first. The rest of the revenue will go toward paying down the national debt." Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, when asked about the plan on ABC News, said he had not yet discussed any such payments with the president, but suggested that tariff dividends could take multiple forms, such as tax cuts, deductions, or elimination of certain taxes like those on overtime or tips. Economists have pointed out that rebranding existing tax breaks as dividends doesn't make them new benefits. Can tariff revenue fund $2,000 per person? Let's break down the math. The U.S. population is about 335 million people. Even if only 150 million adults qualified for the payment, excluding high earners, the total cost would approach $300 billion. That's nearly equivalent to the total tariff revenue the federal government has collected so far in 2025. If children were included, the cost could easily rise to $600 billion, according to the Committee for a Responsible Federal Budget. The Tax Foundation, a nonpartisan research organization, estimates that even if tariff revenues continue growing at their current pace, they'd reach only about $200 billion annually, far short of what's needed to pay for Trump's proposed dividend. The legal and economic hurdles. Beyond the math, Trump's proposal faces major legal challenges. The U.S. Supreme Court recently heard arguments on whether the president even has the authority to unilaterally impose or adjust tariffs under the International Emergency Economic Powers Act. If the court rules against Trump, much of the expected future tariff revenue could vanish. There's also the question of how the payments would be distributed. Unlike previous stimulus checks, this dividend isn't part of an emergency relief bill or economic package passed by Congress. That means it could face significant bureaucratic delays or outright rejection in Washington. Additionally, Trump's administration has already pledged to use tariff revenue for other purposes, such as reducing the national debt and funding tax cuts. Treasury Secretary Bessent said earlier this year that tariffs would pay down our deficit and offset the cost of major tax reforms. The true cost of tariffs for Americans. Another major point critics highlight is that tariffs are not free money. While they technically generate revenue for the U.S. government, they also act as a hidden tax on consumers and businesses. Economists estimate that Trump's tariffs are already costing the average American household between $1,600 and $2,600 per year through higher prices on imported goods. In other words, the average family is already paying roughly the same amount as the proposed dividend, only through increased costs rather than direct taxes. If Trump were to hand out a $2,000 dividend while maintaining tariffs, the net effect could be close to zero for many families. Congressional and expert reactions. Reactions in Washington have been mixed but largely skeptical. Some Republican allies, like Senator Josh Hawley, have previously floated similar ideas, including a $600 tariff rebate for Americans. But his bill gained little traction and never advanced. Economists like Erica York from the Tax Foundation and Joseph Rosenberg from the Urban Brookings Tax Policy Center have both argued that direct payments would require congressional approval. They note that lawmakers could have included a tariff dividend in previous economic bills, but chose not to. The political play behind the proposal. For Trump, the $2,000 tariff dividend may be more of a political message than a concrete policy. It plays well to his populist base, combining economic nationalism with a promise of direct financial benefits for working Americans. Supporters view the idea as proof that Trump's America First trade policies are benefiting ordinary people, not just corporations. Critics, however, call it economic theater, a way to distract from rising inflation, ongoing trade disputes with China, and slowing growth in the manufacturing sector. Trump has long boasted that tariffs are a tool for national strength and independence, arguing they make foreign countries pay for America's prosperity. But experts say the reality is far more complicated. The costs often fall on U.S. importers, manufacturers, and consumers. Would it actually work? In theory, using tariff revenue to give Americans a direct rebate might sound appealing, but in practice, economists agree the math, legality, and logistics make it nearly impossible. At best, the $2,000 dividend might come in the form of tax deductions, not cash. At worst, it may remain another campaign promise, designed to energize Trump's supporters rather than a realistic fiscal plan. The bigger picture is that the U.S. still faces a massive $37 trillion national debt, rising inflation, and continued political division over economic policy. Whether Trump's idea is a genuine attempt to help Americans or simply a symbolic gesture, it highlights the growing tension between populist promises and fiscal reality. So, could Trump's $2,000 tariff dividend ever really happen? The numbers suggest no, but the politics might keep the idea alive. For millions of Americans struggling with high prices, any promise of relief sounds good, even if it's built on shaky ground. What do you think? Is this a smart way to return money to Americans, or just another political gimmick? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If you found this breakdown helpful, hit like, subscribe, and turn on notifications to plan in. Because here on Shadow Report, we go beyond the headlines to bring you the facts behind the politics.